pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I may have inconvenienced some people, and I take total blame. In writing, I said the meeting tonight would be 7 o'clock. Verbally, I told a number of people it would be 6 o'clock. My fault. My fault. I apologize for any inconvenience it may have caused you. And I know the ambulance corps got inconvenienced. I'm sorry. You guys do enough there. You got to.
We forgive you. We'll get old one day.
Yeah. Oh, I got you. One day?
Today's not your day.
Okay. We're going to start right off with a couple of presentations. And I'd like to make note right now that our Assemblyman Thomas Smith is here in the audience, which is one of his aides. About 20 years ago, a young lady by the name of Martha Sporvik joined the town of Highlands Ambulance Corps. I think she started off as a driver, worked her way up through the years into being an EMT, and then within the last 4 years, like 4 years ago, Captain Bill Scopel passed away, and the ambulance corps was put right on to Marty's back because I think you were the next in line. Am I right?
Yep.
Okay. So since then, Marty's done a tremendous job with the ambulance corps. She not only took over as captain, a line officer, and all the responsibilities there are going with that, but she also did training for the Fort Montgomery Fire Department, the Highland Falls Fire Department, and of course her own department, the ambulance corps. She organized the training, did some of it herself, what she couldn't do or wasn't allowed to do. She brought other experts in. So Marty, if you would come up here, please. After 20 years, I have a certificate for you. That doesn't jive with 20 years, but we'll see you in January. The town board, Town of Highlands, would like to congratulate Captain Marty Burns on her retirement after 20 years of service to the residents of the Town of Highlands and the training you provided to the members of the Town of Highlands Ambulance Corps and the Fort Montgomery Fire Department. This is signed by the supervisor and the town board members. Marty. Is there anyone from the ambulance corps or anyone else who would like to say something concerning Marty? No? Okay.
Oh, Marty, thank you.
Actually, we didn't want Marty to go, but we understand why she is going. And I didn't announce my name is Jeff Gathers. I'm the president of the Ambulance Corps. What you said doesn't do a whole lot of justice to what she's meant to us and what she's meant to this community. She's been an outstanding person, woman, friend, everything that you can name, she has been that. Her loss is going to be tremendous, but she'll be by our sides helping us out. So, again, we want to thank you, Marty. Appreciate it.
Marty, thank you for your service to our first responder community and our community as a whole. We do something special in Albany, but we're not in session right now. So, speaking of January, working with the supervisor, Councilman King, and with the ambulance corps, we're going to schedule a day for you to come to Albany where we pass a first responder salute resolution on the floor of the Assembly. So we're going to schedule that day in January, and we'll be able to give you the official signed and stamped by the clerk as it's voted in that day, particularly for those who have served in first responder status. So you have many more honors to come, but I wanted to be here in person to let you know that we're going to do that for you once session starts up. And we can't wait to have you up. And all members of the community, the board, and family and friends will be invited as my guests on the floor at that time as well. So,
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Now, speaking of years ago, 37 years, 11 months, and 16 days ago, a young man joined the highway department. I think I've probably known Jackie as far as being with the highway department most of those years. The highway department used to be next door to my home and my restaurant, and then I was supervisor back in '90 for 6 years. So Jackie and I and the entire highway department became very friendly and familiar with each other. Jack is the ultimate employee that every business company would like to get. Jack doesn't get sick. He doesn't take vacations. His wife is shaking her head up and down. Jack is there every day. He goes to work at 7. I'll put it this way, his time to go to work is at 7. But he's there at 6:30. If he's not there at 6:30, something's wrong. And the pack gets all shook up because, hey, where's Jack? It's at 6:30. How come he's not here? So Jackie is a guy that has really made our highway department click. He's the highway department's foreman, and he took that reluctantly. He just wanted to be a working guy, and he wasn't interested in being a foreman or being in charge of anyone, but he did the job, and he did his job as a working man laborer and as foreman excellent. He absolutely did. I have Jack, would you come up here, please?
Yeah.
But by the way, about a week or two ago, whatever it was, we had a group of about 65 people that turned out for a dinner in his honor, which just shows the respect he has from the people of this town, the people who work with him, and the people who work for him. This certificate of appreciation is being presented to Jack Stevens, who after 37 years, 11 months, and 16 days is retiring from the town of Highlands. During his many years with the town, Jack has proven himself to be one of the most dedicated, hardworking, and loyal employees. Congratulations, Jack, on your well-deserved retirement.
Thank you. Glad to hear that resume because I'm looking for a few staff members to show up early, stay late. So glad we're just going to transfer your employment from the town to the assembly tomorrow. We're very excited for that. So 38 years, Jack. What a testament to service and supporting so many residents and visitors of this beautiful town. And your boss is very upset that he's losing you. So we were able to put together a formal proclamation from the State Assembly. And I just wanted to read a piece of what the town department put together to honor you. So on behalf of 133,000 residents of our Assembly District, all 150 members of the State Assembly, I have requested a certificate of merit and official proclamation to honor Jack Stevens for his outstanding service to the town of Highlands for 38 years. There's a lot of whereases here, but we'll hit the main points. Whereas the state of New York takes great pride in recognizing those individuals who have distinguished themselves through their professional endeavors, and whereas one such individual is Jack Stevens, who has been honored for his many years of dedication to the town of Highlands with a Lifetime of Service Award. And whereas Jack was first hired as a laborer for the town of Highlands on November 15th, 1981, over the years Jack worked hard and made his way up from laborer to a foreman. And whereas Jack has always been the first one to report to work each morning and the last to leave at the end of each day, he used to arrive at least half an hour early for his shifts and was always there to provide assistance for any town department in need of help, no matter the situation. And whereas over Jack's 38 years with the town of Highland, he has proven to be the most dedicated, working, and loyal employee anyone could ask for. And whereas Jack has been a resident of Highland Falls since his family moved there when he was 9, means you're almost a native by Highland Falls standards, right? During his retirement, Jack is looking forward to spending more time with his family, including his wonderful wife, Tammy, their children and their grandchildren, and maybe working for the Assembly. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed throughout the entire 99th Assembly District that Assemblyman Schmidt and all its citizens offer praise and congratulations to you for your 38 years of service. Congratulations.
Good job.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you again, everyone.
We're going to go into our regular meeting if anyone would like to leave, unless you're really interested in our meetings.
You're gonna open it up for public comment right off the bat?
No. Okay, we have a guest speaker tonight, as you might note on your agenda. At least that was right on your agenda, not the time. I'm going to ask Kelly, our controller, to introduce our guest speaker.
So, Councilmember Sullivan and I met a couple of weeks ago with Michelle Reese from M&R Energy. She was giving us proposals for our electric usage throughout the town, and she's here to present what she's come up with for us. Michelle?
Hi, everyone. Thank you for your time. With here. The town of Highlands has an electric agreement in place that's coming up for renewal, so it's expiring, and at this point, the town of Highlands can go under the county bid, which has already been, it's already bid out, and basically you run a custom bid according to your usage and when your contract is due, and you decide what you want to do at this point. So these were the three lowest bidders for the electricity. I'm just going to get this out to you and have a look, and then I don't know, it's actually lower than, I've met with Kelly a couple of times, and luckily it's gone down a bit, which, sorry, I don't know if I'm standing in front of you. Basically, if you look, this is just kind of a synopsis of your electric usage. You use under 500,000 kilowatt hours a year, so not enough to be concerned about how much it costs, but not terrible. Some municipalities use millions and millions, but it's enough that you really want to keep an eye on the cost, because even a fraction of a cent can make a big difference. If you see the difference even between your annual savings 12 and 24 months, it looks like 0523 to 05425 wouldn't be that much, but you can see here it's over $1,000. So basically the bids came in, your current rate is 06373, and these are the, here, I'm sorry, yeah, this is the most, the 12, 24, 36, I was discussing with Richard and Kelly when we met last time that the reason why it's at 36 months, normally you would see a market be a little bit flatter going out, but there's a lot of doom and gloom about Indian Point closing, and I printed out some information if you want to look at it. I mean, it looks like it's going to happen, even though I find it hard to believe, because we don't really have the resources in place to make up for that energy right now, or electric. But the powers that run Indian Point, which is Entergy, are very anxious to, because they haven't been really well received there, and there's been such a push to close it. The first shutdown is slated for April of 2020, and the final one is in 2021. So unless something changes drastically, that will make and until we come up with the power to replace that, there becomes an unknown factor in what's going to happen. And that's why you're seeing the jump up as we go further out. So I don't know if anybody has any questions. I do have this article this is right from Entergy's website, and it gives you a little bit of information about the closing. And they do have the ability to postpone it, but I don't know that it will happen. Right now, it's looking like it's not. So there's a lot of worry, and I mean, I know I'm worried about it because I don't want to see people's prices go up, but it's something that's completely out of our hands. And they also pay taxes to, there's a tax break for them being there, so that will have an impact on this area as well. So I don't know if you have any questions, but I'd be happy to answer.
When we spoke, Michelle, I didn't remember if it was Direct Energy or
Yeah,
Constellation that changed, didn't it?
Yes, Direct had come in lowest last time, and now Constellation was a little bit lower today. So I'm kind of happy about that because I like Constellation's agreement. It's very ironclad that the fixed price will stay the same. There's always wording in these things, especially with the closing of Indian Point, that if there's problems with generation, that they can come back. But if you look at their agreement, and you've had them before in the past, Constellation, so it's not a new company that you're dealing with. It's just whoever wins the bid on the day we run the bid is who we recommend that you go with.
So the three companies here are actually supplying the electric to O&R, who then sends it along to us?
Right, I mean, they're all they're all suppliers, so they're, approved suppliers just M&R Energy is approved for natural gas. We're also approved for electric, but our prices, these are bigger generators, so their prices are a little bit lower, actually quite a bit lower, but yes, they are suppliers that feed into the grid, and are approved energy supply companies in Orange and Rockland, Central Hudson, actually most of them are nationwide. So, we have partnerships with several electric companies, but we just bring you the lowest bids.
Okay, good. Help me understand. You represent Energy Resources?
M&R Energy Resources Corporation.
Okay, and you're more or less like a broker?
Yes, more or less. Well, we are the company that won the bid for Orange County. So we, that's a bid unto itself just to do the consulting. And you would be going under the, they use the term piggybacking, but that's pretty much what you'd be doing, is piggybacking on the county bid. And almost all the municipalities do it because it's a very reasonable way to shop for energy.
So how does your company earn any monetary value
It's
out of
paid
this?
by whoever wins the bid.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that is figured into their bid?
Yes.
That cost is?
Yes, and the cost is as minimal as possible, again, because it goes under the county bid.
So you have the three elements are the broker, the supplier, and the deliverer. O&R is the deliverer.
Yeah,
no
and
matter
that's
what.
really where the problem, the bigger of the problem lies. Every utility bill is broken into two parts, so it doesn't matter where, you live in any part of New York State. You have your delivery company, and then you have your supply company. So your delivery company is the utility. You have like Orange and Rockland. I live in Cornwall, so it's Central Hudson. That is really the biggest part of your bill. I always say look at it like the gas station. The delivery is all of Orange and Rockland's expenses, their benefits, their all the people that work for them, and everything, all the maintenance of the infrastructure. So all the storm damage, things, all of that comes out of the delivery charge. And then the supply is just the actual commodity that you're using. And believe it or not, if you looked at your bills, that's it used to be that was, the delivery was a small fraction. The delivery has more than quadrupled in the last decade. And I mean, I think it's just because of the cost of everything escalating. When you see storms that take down, every pole on a main street, we pay cumulatively to repair all that. So, and it all comes out of the delivery, the maintenance of the infrastructure.
So my next question would be, would you recommend 12 or 24 months? I don't know if the board would commit to 36 months. I wish we could commit to 6 years.
I know, me
and
too.
not worry about Indian Point. But
Me too. Yeah, or longer, I believe me. And if you had the option to go at these rates, when you're looking at rates in the 5 cents range, you're looking at good rates. I mean, you really are. It's unusual for things to come in this low. And I don't know that the town of Highlands has ever been. I mean, you see your last rate was almost a penny higher. I mean, that's a lot, based on your usage, you can see 12 months is over $5,000. It's a significant savings. I don't really like to recommend. I like people to do what they're comfortable with, but I would say that, to be on the safe side, I wouldn't do the 1 year only because most people don't even like to revisit this every year, and there's such a small difference between 12 and 24 months. I understand what you're saying, going out further because of Indian Point. That's certainly, but you're paying a premium for the unknown. We just don't know. No one knows what's going to happen once that closes. So, and if in fact it does, do I think if it closes that these rates will be significantly higher? I do think that, but I could be wrong, but I could be wrong. It's like you're predicting a commodity. It's like if I came here and told you that what I know gas to be at the gas station in a year from now, we don't know. You just, so you can't predict it. And with that, with that playing a factor in it, it makes it even more uncertain. So, I always say if I knew where natural gas and electric was going to be trading in a week from now, I wouldn't be here, I'd be floating on a yacht somewhere and they'd be paying me a lot of money to tell them. So, unfortunately, we never know where these, it's a frustrating job because you can look back for 15 years and know where the commodity has been through all these years, but you don't know what it's going to happen tomorrow. Like today, it took a big jump up natural gas because all they have to do is predict that the weather's going to be a little bit colder, and then it's all this rumbling. So it's not necessarily, based on any significant, fact. It's just the rumbling, like we get, rumblings from so many news places these days. It's just they place that seed, and then you have to wonder what's going to happen. So I would say 2 years, and if the 3 years you have to decide on your own based on, I usually tend to be more, conservative with going a long time, but I understand what Richard's saying about the closing of Indian Point, so.
When do you, or Kelly, when do you need a decision from the town board?
The current contract expires the end of the year. So I think the only issue is that this probably fluctuates every day.
Every day, yeah, every day. So, I mean, it's commodities, so if you approve it, then you're locking in the rate. I think, we've met a few times with Kelly, so it's basically, I mean, I would love to tell you that I could hold the rate for, a week, but the reality is I would get in trouble doing something like that because if it changed, there's no way to actually hold the rate.
So if we approve it tomorrow, that rate stays in for 2 years?
Exactly. But
starting January 1st.
Yes. You can lock in a rate at any time. I mean, we have businesses, municipalities where the supplier for, we always say Rockland Bakery, a lot of the hospitals, school districts, Orange County Partnership, we do a lot of business with, I mean, we're known in the county, M&R Energy, but basically we have customers that fix a price and wait for a target, like wait for, where they can go out even further at a lower rate, because they're constantly ensuring that their costs won't go up. So if you think about, somebody who uses a massive amount of natural gas or electricity, they have to protect themselves from that volatility. So if they can lock in at 5.5 cents and have it end in 2020, if they can do 2 weeks later, lock it in beyond that point at a lower rate. So it's constantly making sure that your costs stay at a certain point. That makes sense?
Justin, do you have any input on this?
Nothing earth-shattering. It's pretty straightforward as presented. It's right. You got to do it between now and the end of the year, obviously, and these are good rates right now. So I think it's more, as Richie was saying, what's the length of period of time?
Yeah, I use the term as you being a broker, your company being a broker. Are there other companies that are offering things?
Well, there's many suppliers. As I said, these were the 3 lowest.
No,
that we
not
priced.
suppliers,
Right.
other brokers.
Are there other brokers? Yes. There are other brokers. Will they, because it's under the county bid, typically, like, I know, last time you used somebody like that kind of got in between. We had been doing it for several years for the town of Highlands. You ended up ultimately locking in higher than you would have if you had gone under the county. It ended up being more costly to the town of Highlands than, had you stayed under the county bid. Other than telling you that fee is incredibly low, there's a reason why the municipalities do it, that they lock under they go under the county bid.
Yeah, no, I was just curious, with our insurance, we look at other brokers and see
Absolutely.
what they have.
No,
So I was just
I
curious
do,
if there's other
I
brokers.
do have quotes from another broker, and they're significantly higher,
Good.
like 6.5 cents.
So, excuse me, your firm works for the county?
We are the consultants that won the bid for Orange County.
Okay.
Yes, not so much work for them, but
So you don't represent them at all? You just
yeah, we had to.
were able to get the bid?
Yeah, we had to.
That allows you to come talk to the municipalities?
Yes.
Okay. But municipality still has the right to decide whether they want to use
Absolutely.
you or not?
Correct.
And then Kelly's saying that in this case, she saw some others that would be considerably higher.
Yes, and I think O&R as a supplier themselves is
Yes,
even
they're
higher. I think it's over 7 cents.
Yeah, that's their 12-month averages, which is something you would kind of do as a fair comparison. Look at the 12-month average if you're locking in for 12 months, and their 12-month average, I think the last time I checked, was over 2 cents higher. So you definitely don't want to do that. That would be quite a bit. It would be based on this about $10,000 more a year. So
Okay, following this meeting, we have a budget meeting, which would be a perfect time for us to talk about it.
Okay, so I'll leave you the 3 agreements, and then I just have 1 copy of each because I didn't want to, waste too much paper. So I'll leave you the three copies, and whichever one you decide, you can, sign. And the sooner you get it back, the better. Unless, if you don't, the prices would have to be refreshed. So they would have to be refreshed on the day that you decided to sign. That's always the best way to go. So anyway, I hope I answered your questions, and thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you for your time coming in.
Yeah, no worries.
We
I
appreciate it.
live very close by.
Justin, my pen's running out of ink. Let me have one of her pens.
Yeah, exactly. I keep bringing pens every time I come. I'm like, oh, I'm glad you love that. I'll send you more. I'll drop some off. All right, so this is, you have the bid results, and this
Yes.
is 12, 24, and 36, okay?
It's very good.
Yes.
Thank you, Michelle.
Oh, you're very welcome. And thank you again for your time. I'm just gonna grab my bag?
Good to see you.
Yes, good to see you as well. Bye, everyone. Thank you. Oh, thank you. You're gonna embarrass me now. All right, take care. Bye, Pat. Yeah, good to see you as well.
All right, carrying on with the agenda, public comment, agenda items. Anybody have anything?
First, I'd like to reiterate the congratulations to Marty and Jack. That was really special. Both of them will be significant losses to our community, and I see that the noise law is on the agenda, and I hope that each and every one of you will take into consideration the comments that were made at the last meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Annie.
Anyone else? Communications, I received a letter tonight, which I'll let Councilman King read, since it's his ambulance corps that he's a liaison to.
Town Supervisor Bob Livesey, I wanted to take this opportunity to thank your staff of Kelly, Debbie, and Elaine in the Accounts and Payroll Office since Marty Burns went on leave of her duties back in February of this year. They have been nothing but great, kind, and understanding and most helpful as they helped me through this transition. They clearly understood that I would have a learning curve and would need help making this transition. With that said, the ambulance corps is running smoothly with regards to change of command. Our billing and such is also still running smoothly. I would also like to thank Pat, Jack, Joe, and Rick for all the help with keeping up with our services in all our vehicles. Once again, thank you for all your help and encouragement during this time. Thank you, Jeffrey A. Gathers, President. Good job.
I need a motion to approve the minutes of our last meeting.
Make the motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Communications, I just have that letter for tonight unless someone's got something else. Okay. Board liaison reports, do we have anything? Start with Rich.
Not much. The ZBA met, had 2 public hearings. They didn't render a decision on either one of them. And they'll meet again on the 3rd Wednesday of November, open to the public. There were actually 2 people that came from Muller Avenue, I forget their names, and they came because they saw me on TV saying, come to the ZBA meeting, so I should have taken note of what their names were. If you're out there, thank you. Tomorrow in Fort Montgomery, Firefighters Lane, Canterbury, St. Mark's, across the street over in Oakwood and Scotts. Tam is going to be coming and doing some TV inspecting. There's a couple lines there that are too clogged to get a camera through, and they're going to be jetting. I expect them to be there for the next 3 days. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilman King.
Supervisor, thank you. A couple of things. One, I wanted to reiterate a message from the center that the senior trips are still ongoing. There's still opportunities to sign up. Those trips have already been posted and dates are out. I don't have specific dates. So if you're interested in those trips, then fine, please get with the center in Amolina. So first, let me back up and say good evening, everyone, and good evening, everyone at home. Now, that's more important for me now to say than when it was when I was just doing it just out of habit. Because a couple of days ago, I was walking, and this gentleman zooms up next to me in his vehicle and says, "You don't know me, but I know you." And I said, "Okay." And he says, "And I appreciate you addressing me." And I said, "Really? What did I do to address you?" He says, "Well, whenever I watch the board meetings, you always say, 'Good evening, everyone,' and 'Good evening, everyone at home.'" So I want to make sure I continue to do that now that I know people watch this channel. Mr. Supervisor, I think this may be something of interest of yours. It came from Assemblyman Colin Schmidt. in reference to his veteran event on 1 November.
Yeah, and
Did you already read that one?
I did,
Okay.
but what's it called? Did we select someone and?
We did. We have submitted the name. It ended up being one name. That's what we were allotted. And then also here tonight, he mentioned to me that he would like me to actually participate in that and read something and say something. So I accepted that.
Good, excellent. And the date for that is?
1 November. So what we're talking about is 1
Friday?
November is the inaugural Veterans Hall of Fame of 99th Assembly District. And so Mr. Colin Schmidt has mentioned to the supervisor that his board here, the Town of Highlands Board, has been instrumental in helping us to highlight contributions from members of the community. So that is going to be a big deal, and we get to honor some of our veterans.
1 November, that's this Friday?
That is this
Yep.
Friday, right?
That's this Friday.
Yep, that's this Friday.
I thought it was on a Monday.
Yeah, it's Friday. So that's all I have, Mr. Supervisor.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Gunn.
Okay. And going along with Councilman King, and since it makes everyone feel as though they're included, good evening. Councilman King and the supervisor and myself attended the Red Ribbon Week kickoff at the intermediate school. It was hosted by the Alcoholism and Drug Abuse Council of Orange County and the Highland Falls Fort Montgomery Central School District. I was very impressed with the workshops that the children were doing and the students participating. It was a really good program. It went on to show the students why it's not a good idea to get involved in drugs or vaping or alcohol. And I have to give them a lot of credit, the school for hosting it and Orange County for putting that program on every year. And then yesterday, we also went down to the Grace Baptist Church for the 20th Annual Public Safety Sunday, and where they recognize all first responders, law, fire, ambulance personnel during their service, and then they had a little luncheon after the service. Pastor Snavely and his congregation have done a really great job for 20 years, and I really appreciate the time that they spend doing that. That was a very nice afternoon. And I'm sure Olga, who is here, will talk about the Repair Cafe. And during budget deliberations, we're not completed with them yet, but during budget deliberations, we met with the Recreation Department. And our Recreation Director, Aaron Falk, convinced us, well, he didn't actually convince us, but he relayed information to us that the open gym that he was doing, the open gym night, was so well received that he wanted to add an extra night, which we agreed to. So there will be an extra night of open gym. And I'll speak on behalf of the board. I hope they agree with me. That's a very good thing, and Aaron is doing a lot for recreation for all ages.
I concur.
One thing, not to correct you, but you do with me a lot. One of the things at the school that surprised me, I sat in on one of their groups.
Workshops.
And they introduced themselves around a circle, way beyond Chester, Monroe. I thought it was just our school, but it was a county-wide thing then. So that surprised me. Anyway, Rich?
Not much. I just want the community to know that this board has been wrestling and meeting and working on the budget for the coming year. To me, I think that is one of the most important aspects of sitting on this board, in that the budget is the blueprint that we have to follow for the coming year. There are a lot of things that we would like to do, but in many respects, our hands are tied when we look at the numbers on the costs. But every service that the town provides, there is a cost associated with it, and we are trying our best to get it under the tax cap. and, which is good and bad, but we're getting close to it. And I won't know what to do next month if I don't come here on a Monday night. So, getting to know these folks. But that's all I have, Bob.
Thank you. One of the things I noticed, I think it was on Facebook, someone was complaining about taxes, how high they are in New York, and that's why people are moving out of town. And I don't disagree one bit that the taxes in New York are high. But I think rather than focusing on how high the taxes are, I think the people need to focus on what the money is being spent for. I think that's more important than how high the taxes are. There are things that we're putting in our budget that we have to have. When you've got a piece of equipment that's 30 years old and it's getting fixed up every day or practically and sent out to the shop, you got to replace it. And if the money isn't there, you've got to put it in your budget, and yes, that costs. But I think you not only have to look at the town or the village, you got to look at the county, what they spend their money on. You got to look at the state, what they're spending their money on. So you can complain, and rightly so, about how high the taxes are, but what the money is being spent on is more important.
I'll say one thing about that.
Yes, sir.
So, I think, my opinion, and as I get around and talk to folks throughout the community, there's an interesting mix of folks. So one may think that the taxes are high and life is challenging, and then there's another set of folks that's coming here from other places that really love what they're seeing, and they think that the quality of life is here is pretty good. So it's all relative, right? So somebody who was in New York City is paying a lot more for rent or whatever, they come here and they got a backyard and they love this place. So I would just say that really we got a pretty good community, and from what I gather, most people recognize that, and then there's a lot of other good people that's continuing to work hard to make the quality of life even better. So I just say continue the progress.
Now that we're talking about taxes, I'll tell you what we spent money on this month. We spent $45,984. The larger expenses were Royal Carting, $2,655 for sanitation and landfill charges. Can't do without that, you gotta have that. Direct Energy Business Electric Supplier, $3,092, that's the street lights. The street lights were $1,391 of that. New York Tree Masters, there were 2 dead trees in the cemetery that were a hazard, and Pat decided that they should be cut down, and it was a bigger job than the highway department could do, so we hired tree masters at $2,350. O&R Utilities, this was for the street lights, and that was $2,379. And our legal services, which we can't do without that either, $6,717. And Rockland County's solid waste, sanitation, landfill charges was $9,388. And by the way, the Rockland County, what do you call that? Landfill? Is that the right word for it? Or where we bring our garbage in Rockland County? It's a transfer station, yeah. Our rate down there is cheaper than we can get in Orange County, and I thank Pat for researching it and finding the right place to go.
Bob, I heard you mention 2 streetlight bills. One was $1,000, the other one was $2,300. That's a supply and delivery, correct, Kelly?
Yes.
And when Jeff Lano was here back during the LED lights, he made a comment that's accurate that said 80% of your bill is not paying for the actual supply of electricity, it's for the delivery. That's all going to go away once we do this project. It'll be significantly less. The other thing is I didn't mention when Michelle was here, and because Olga's here, I want to be respectful. We had an email to the board, a presentation from Community Choice Aggregate, which is Jeff Dumonsky. June was here at that meeting. He came here in September and made a presentation. That's what they do also, using green energy. They're very well established in Westchester County. They're working on Orange County. Their rates aren't quite competitive in Orange County yet. And part of the reason for that is that pamphlet you gave me Is upstate New York and downstate New York need more in their grid to deliver this green energy south? Otherwise, I would have considered him too.
Thank you. Okay, carrying on. Noise control local law. Everyone knows that we're working on a local law for noise control in the town. After the public hearing, we heard a lot of suggestions as to what needed to be fixed, what needed to be done better. And we know that law that we were presenting is not perfect. So we are going to put some more work into it, a lot more work into it. And we'll probably change it quite a bit. And before we vote on it, we'll probably, not probably, but we will have another public hearing. So it's on the agenda for tonight, but it isn't on to be voted on. It's on for me just to bring it up that we are going to work on it, going to change a few things, have another public hearing. And talking about public hearing and money and expenses, our next meeting is our public hearing for the 2020 budget for the water district and for the sewer district. So that's our next meeting. So if you have some comments and things that need to be made at that time, that's the right time to do it. If you think your water bill is incorrect as far as points assigned, and we did find that, I think, how many, about 3 or 4 that we, I think 2 of the 3 suggested to us that something was wrong, and it was wrong. That can only be changed at this time of the year in November, where when we set the rates, we set the point system and set the points for your house or your business, what have you. That's it until next year. So if anybody has a problem with the bill, most certainly the time to come in is at our next meeting on Tuesday. That being said, we hope to, at the end of this meeting, go into a budget session. And if you see the lights on here at midnight, that means we're working on it, because it's our last chance to get it put together. And Kelly, you have to have that ready.
The only thing it says in the law about the preliminary budget is that it needs to be presented prior to the public hearing. But
Okay.
it doesn't give a specific date, so as soon as they possibly can, turn it over next week.
So not even next week is
This
our
week.
budget meeting, this week. So it's
This
got to be
week.
put together. And
Monday is
So
the
even
public-
after the public hearing, we can still make changes,
Yes.
correct?
That's right.
Yes,
Because the adoption date is like the middle of the November?
November 20th before.
It has to be by November 20th.
Right.
Supervisor, I wanted to say one comment on the noise issue. So, at the previous public hearing, I came after it had started the discussion about the noise. So I just wanted the public to know, I have watched the YouTube video, so I saw all those comments that were made. Of course, I was on previous meetings where this discussion was up, so I'm well aware of the sentiments on both sides of that argument, so I just want the public to be confident in that. Secondly, I've gone on numerous occasions all throughout this town and listened for noise, number one. 2, I've talked to multiple people throughout this town that were not even in the public hearing, just to get a sense of where we at with this issue by and large. So we're doing all, and I'm sure my colleagues are doing the same thing, so I just want everybody to be confident that we're really taking this serious, we're really doing the due diligence, and at some point, as the supervisor mentioned, we'll come with a appropriate response in terms of a law. So, that's it.
Okay.
The
Next on the
comments went as
agenda.
high as 78 decibels, just wanted you to know that.
Well, I appreciate you gauging that for me.
Next on the agenda is a modified resolution, which our attorney, Justin Ryder.
Sure.
will explain.
Right, so, as we know, talking about the sewer project, right, the bids came in high, and that necessitated going back to the Office of the State Controller to have them reapprove the new budget. we did that some time ago. We submitted paperwork. They recently requested further paperwork, which your town clerk was able to locate and supply to me, and I sent that on. They wanted a resolution confirming that you had resubmitted your application and that it's accurate and that you had done all in accordance with the law prior thereto. So this summarizes that, but in essence, all you're doing is approving a resolution to confirm the submission of the application to the New York State Controller.
Do I have a motion to move the resolution?
Motion.
Second. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Sullivan?
Aye.
Councilmember King?
Aye.
Councilmember Gonza?
Aye.
Councilmember Perry?
Aye.
Supervisor Livesey?
Aye. Before we go into budget, is there any public comment? Olga, do you have something?
Thank you, everybody. I just wanted to give you a few of the updates from our Environmental Advisory Committee work. Since everybody reports about their meetings, this Wednesday we've been invited to go to Orange County Planning. They're having an annual meeting of other conservation advisory councils from around the county. So we have a nice opportunity to brainstorm with our counterparts who are, been doing this a lot longer than we have. So that's good. On November 2nd, we are conducting a what's called a repair cafe. These repair cafes happen all around the country. There's quite a number of them that happen in the Hudson Valley. There's a website called Repair Cafe Hudson Valley where you can see all of the cities where this is taking place. This will be our first shot at it in Highland Falls. And luckily, we have an awesome senior club, the Highlanders, who have some awesomely talented people who can help fix things that you may have lost faith in. So if you have a broken favorite lamp or a stuffed animal that needs stitching and you don't know how to thread a needle, we have somebody to repair jewelry. I'll be there to help people with their plant questions, and we have a non-senior, we have an awesome young person, Ann Molina's granddaughter is going to be there to answer your questions about how to use those electronic devices. So she's not going to fix anything, but she'll answer questions. So I invite everybody to come down and make our first Repair Cafe a success. It'll be held at the Senior Center on Drew Avenue from 10 a.m. till noon. On November 8th, we have our next committee meeting, and I've invited a gentleman from Orange County. He's the recycling coordinator, Urban Silkovich, I believe is how you pronounce his name. So he's going to come and talk to our committee about, what is it that we really need to know about how to do recycling well, and so we can really begin to educate the community about good recycling practices. New York State has adopted a motto of recycle right. They're pushing out a lot of information, and so there's a big focus on doing recycling properly. There's a big concern about contamination. I was at the MRF facility today, and I talked to David, the manager over there, and they have a big sign at the front of their office saying that the carting trucks will be fined $150 a ton if the contents are considered to be contaminated. So we really need to know what we're doing in terms of what we're throwing out. There's things that I've learned that I was doing wrong. So I really urge people not to assume that they know everything they need to know about recycling. So Erman's going to talk to us, and then sometime in the new year, I'm going to invite him to come back and talk to the community at large. And finally, November 16th, we're having a recycling open house at the center. As a matter of fact, I have
forwarded all you folks a request to do a proclamation recognizing that November 15th is actually America Recycles Day, and it's celebrated all around the country. And so my request is that you do this proclamation that would recognize November 15th as America Recycles Day, and that the town of Highland Recycles Day, so we can pat ourselves on the back for taking some positive action in this regard. But November 16th is when we're doing an open house. We'll have exhibits. We have the Cornell Cooperative Extension folks coming to talk about composting. We will have, thanks to Pat's office, we'll have some recycling bins there that will be raffled off, so you can come buy a raffle ticket and hopefully win a recycling bin. So we have a lot of exhibits, a lot of information planned. It'll be at the center from 10 to 1. And I invite the board, of course, and anybody from the board who would like to come and speak. We'll be doing remarks at noon. So I think that covers what we did in the last month.
You've been busy.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else? Anyone else?
Pat can correct me if I'm wrong. Recycling was free a year and a half ago. If we were sending it to Orange County, it'd be $105 a ton. It's now $85 a ton going to Republic, which used to be Re-Community over in Beacon, and the roll-off is $295 a pop, twice a week. Did I get that right? Yes. There's a difference right there. Whatever's happening at the higher levels of government, it's not working. So I appreciate Olga's efforts and everyone else trying to make something happen.
Okay, I'd like to ask for a motion to close the regular meeting, take a 5-minute recess to set up for a budget session.
Motion?
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
So carried.